removing springs and swapping the subframe. Let's talk about it. I wasn't planning on swapping the subframe, but we have to do it. Today's video is brought to you by the 2019 CamaroCon event t-shirt. Check out the link below and see if we have your size in stock today. What's going on, guys? Matt over here, Lethal Garage, and today we are back with the 71. It's daylight savings time, or not daylight savings time, so it's getting dark a little bit earlier, so I got to get lights out here. But what I'm doing is something I was not necessarily planning, and it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Now, as you guys know, I bought this car, obviously second hand, third hand, fourth, fifth, sixth hand, and we didn't really know what it had gone through. And as you can see, the subframe here is notched. I think at some time they thought this setup was better than the factory setup, and they did it, and it's completely trash. So we were gonna ditch it all and go back to the factory setup, but as we were getting into the frame, we realized on the bottom side there's cracks in the metal that either highlight, one, it was in a car accident at some point, or two, they potentially even cut through the entire frame and then tried to build it back up. The other side of it is it's, you know, from the factory, there used to be some slag and bits on there, and that's kind of what we thought it was when the 454 was here, but it actually looks like even the side frame on the back side of this side was cut or removed from the vehicle at some point. And all said and done, pulling this off, getting this one stripped down and getting it repowder coated and ready to go just felt like not the best way to go for this build. We're putting a lot of money into this car, and why would you want the main portion of the car supporting the weight of the motor and all that stuff to potentially have a major issue? So all that being stated, I went on Facebook groups, put a call out that I'm looking for a subframe for an early 70s Camaro, and luckily I found a gentleman who has an actual 1971 full subframe that has been stripped down, been powder coated for a build he was planning on doing, and just never did it. So he has a shell of a body and he was planning on putting it on there, so I actually made a deal with him to swap this setup for his, so at least he can still roll his car around when it's ready to be rolled, not for final, because he's planning on going aftermarket full front suspension. So, and he was willing to give me a better deal on the new subframe that he already had ready for giving him my setup. Now, in that, he just needs upper and lower control arms with a spindle in place. So I'm going to be pulling the springs out, we're going to be pulling the old brakes and the wheels off, and everything else is coming off, and loading it up in the car and getting it ready. So there's obviously some parts and pieces I still need, like the front main brackets to hold the front radiator support, obviously the bolts for the main mounts and for the bushings. So we're gonna rip all that off and have it on the side. I mean, we're replacing the power steering, all that stuff. As you can tell, the factory placement for the steering box is already gone, so I already have a new one of that. Like, it's all getting replaced. So in this video, we're gonna pull the springs out and disassemble stuff, but I'm also gonna take the springs out a fun way. Now, as you guys know, these are really heavily loaded springs, and in that, they're designed for a pretty heavy motor back then. Right now, there's no weight on them whatsoever, so if I was to just drop the ball joint, they would probably go shooting out there and kill somebody. So in this instance, we're going to heat them up and get a lot of the tension out of them, and then we'll use a jack to lower it down and hopefully not have springs that shoot out, but that could make a fun part of this video. We'll find out later. So let's get to it. So you guys are probably going to laugh at me here, but this is a trick that I heard from my dad, and I've also heard from it from a couple other people, but it's literally just heating your springs up with a torch. Now, I just have a normal, basically, was it Burns-O-Matic, or however you say the name of that company, a map gas, and I'm just gonna heat the springs up and take the tension out of it. So we kind of did the other side just to see how it would do, and it got really wonky. So this is super dangerous. I don't want anybody to think I condone this, but I wanted to try it and see what happened. So I'm gonna heat this up, and we'll see if we can see in slow motion or fast speed motion it shrinking or letting the tension off. Now keep in mind the car is off the ground right now, so the suspension is sagging as much as possible. So if anything, I think it's gonna go up, I think. I don't know. We'll find out. Basically what's going to happen here, the spring's going to heat up in one spot, but as the metal gets hot all around the sides and the heat expands into the metal, the sides will start collapsing. So we'll just move around, and as we sit here and do this, the longer it takes, the faster it will go towards the end. So we're just going to sit here and heat away. Some people may ask, why is this a bad idea? Well, one, it's going to add heat to the frame. And at the end of the day, the gentleman who's taking this frame is using it as a roller only, not to be on a final build. So yeah, we don't care about that. Two, it's still pretty dangerous. As you can see, I have a jack underneath the bottom of the seat, so it shouldn't go flying out. It shouldn't anyways. If anything, the spring will just end up being loose in its tray and just be able to plop right out once we break the joint. The downside is it might make it harder to break the ball joint, but we'll see. I gotta set this down and reposition camera. Okay, well, we got it mostly buckled in on itself, which is good. And now we'll loosen the ball joint, see if we can break it, and then have the jack underneath and slowly let it down, see what happens. Let's do it. Okay, so we got the cotter pin out. Now we loosen the upper bolt. I'm gonna see if I can get the camera. I'm gonna try to use the Joby. But then again, the frame's kind of hot. Hopefully I don't melt something. I didn't really quite think through the whole everything gets hot. Whatever. It's an old Joby. Actually, it'll probably fall when I bang it. Yep. Okay, gotta find a different position. Okay. So, again, we don't care about this A-arm. But we gotta get this ball joint to go. Well, you guys saw me beating on it. That didn't work. I didn't have a pickle fork that I found out exists. I didn't know what one of those was until a little bit ago. Until Mike was like, do you have a pickle fork? I'm like, what the heck's a pickle fork? Well, I found out a pickle fork's used to break ball joints for the most part. That being stated, we tried a 5-ton jack. That didn't even work. Mike comes over the pickle fork and a sledgehammer, and it popped. Yeah! Ball joint popped. Now, I don't think the spring has that much tension. It is on the jack, so I guess I know it's like there's like no pressure.
I feel like much of life to get your nut off first.
What? Well, oh yeah, that's right. I'm jumping ahead. I didn't take the nut off. Thanks, Mike. Mike's always filled with excellent. Hey, it still doesn't even want to go down. Oh, the spring's loose in there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It might be on the jag over there.
It's on the
On the metal thingamabobber?
Yep, on the dust cover.
Oh yeah, so that's loose. We'd be good. Hi, spring. Oh, good. I'm gonna be that guy.
That one's hurting.
It's a banana. Okay, so I hope it's recording this. I can't really see the camera angle right now. Is it? Do you see it?
Yeah, you got it.
Perfect.
Nice clear shot right there.
Pickle fork, sir.
And a man hammer.
And a man hammer that I don't own. Because I'm not a man. Did you just go from that angle or did you clear the steering?
Yeah, whatever the best angle is for me.
Maybe. Just pivot it. There you go. That's simple, huh?
That easy.
I didn't get myself a pickle fork. Did that just turn off? Yeah, the battery's already dying. Failure. Anyway, subframe off. Got it in the back of the truck, all strapped up. Don't mind the loose ones. The ones that need to be tighter are tight. But it's held in place. It may shift a little bit, but it's not coming out. I got to do road trip to Havasu, so let's go to bed and get to Havasu and get the new frame. Let's do it. Well, it's 4 in the morning and we're headed out to Havasu, go get the car part. So let's hit the road, get this done. We'll just snap our way there. No reason to, you know, make you watch driving across nothingness. Okay, subframe's been secured. We are just outside of Havasu City getting some fuel because it's $1 cheaper a gallon, but already powder coated, good to go. Now we can get back to the garage and get this thing assembled properly, huh? Look at, gas is only $3.29 here versus $4.39 in California. I'll take it. So, fun drive. Only took 4 hours and 15 minutes to get here. Let's see if we can beat that time back. All right, we made it back to the Lethal Garage. I already got rid of some of the old crap that's in the trash. I got a dumpster, legit got a dumpster so I could throw this stuff away. But here's the new subframe. It's upside down right now, but it looks a million times better. So one, if you remember my setup, this whole front portion was chopped out and this side was notched all the way in and rebuilt. But the problem is on mine, there was a crack in the bottom of the subframe from this forward point all the way to this back edge. And that's what made us go, you know what? Yeah, let's get rid of that. I mean, the notch, I wasn't happy with the notch that was in the other one either, but I was willing to live with it. But as soon as we saw that damage here, I was like, nope, not gonna do it. So got a, basically, I mean, it's like, they did an okay job restoring this one. Obviously they stripped it down, still has all the factory slag on it, so they didn't do any of like fine finish work on it, and I'm totally okay with that. I mean, it's a subframe, so most of the stuff's never going to be seen, but it's in really good shape. So the next step is digging into this pallet from Detroit Speed and getting into the suspension bits so we can actually build this up and get it ready to go back on the car. Now the downside is I don't believe the new spindles and hubs and all that stuff that I have will work with the wheels that I have. I'm not 100% certain. I could be wrong, but I don't think they do. So with that being stated, I'm gonna have to get new wheels sooner than later to get this thing built and at least movable. Because once you get all the weight on there, it's not so much single person friendly to move and lift around, especially with it powder coated. I don't want to drag it around and chip up and scratch the powder coat on it. So yeah, I mean, it's we're so far away from having a completed car, but yet it's like, it's amazing when you get like a piece like this finished and back. It's like, oh, you just want to put it on the car right away. But we got to prep this. I'm not going to put a nice brand new powder coated item and put it up against a disgusting body until we get that cleaned up. So basically I'm going to assemble it, slide it under for the time being. I'll maybe like tape some cardboard or something to the bottom of the frame so it doesn't scratch up when we move it around. But I got all brand new mounting bolts, all brand new body, why am I forgetting words? Body mounts and everything. So all the body mounts that were factory, you can see they're just destroyed rubber, squished, and all the bolts are rusted, look terrible. I could go down and have those media blasted and black oxide, but I just bought brand new OEM factory bolts, found some online. The previous owner had bought hard mounted. I'm not doing that. I'm going back to rubber. So those are going to go away. I do need to take this front radiator bracket down still, along with some of the brackets that we're still going to need to get powder coated. So we'll take those down to get blasted, recoated so they look brand new and match. And I'm going to grab a whole bunch of other parts and pieces off the vehicle and just have them all done at the same time. So basically, once we get the mini tubs in and we get all of the interior rust issues, which there's not a lot, and the firewall patched up, we're going to get it all media blasted. We'll seal up the outside, paint the inside, get Dynomet in there, start fitting the interior parts and pieces. Obviously the firewall will get nicely painted, and once the firewall's painted and everything, at that point we'll go ahead and start mounting the subframe and all that stuff, and potentially even drop the motor in. So we're a long way from that, but it's really exciting to even consider that, you know, maybe a month's time, that motor on the stand over there is going to be sitting right here on a nice, beautiful new subframe with Detroit speed suspension and all that goodness. So it's like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But there you have it. There's removing the old stuff. Here's to the new stuff. Stay tuned for tons more videos and content around the 71. That is the primary focus right now. We will be getting the 6th gen up and going. Well, up and going, it's running. We got to get the AC still fixed, so stay tuned for that video to find out why the air conditioner's not working. We believe it's a clogged orifice, but we got to go through that whole process, replace the dryer, flush out the lines, find out where the problem is. So, but also, let's rip open this pallet. So I think next video is actually going to be something like that. So we're going to be ripping open this pallet and check out all the goodies that I got from Detroit Speed. So thanks for checking out this content, and until next time, guys, see you on the road.